Hey everyone, and welcome to BIMTM's Navis Ninjas, episode 2, with your handsome host, me, Jared. In the last episode, we covered very basics, looked at some menus and how to customize docking of those menus. So now, how do you even get a model into Navisworks? So we're going to head over to Revit and go over exporting one of the file types that Navisworks can bring in. That's called appending a file. And an important note, to export an NWC out of Revit, we need to install the Navisworks Export Utility, which comes from the same spot where you can download the Navisworks Freedom. So we got the link, throw that in the description. And so all you have to do is just scroll down a little bit further so it's on the bottom half of the page. One thing to note is you do need to install one of the export utilities for each version of Revit that you are going to be exporting from. So we're going to start off here in Revit here. So as you can see, we've got our base file. And after you have the add-on installed, there's a couple of spots that you can go. We can go to this external tools, and then there'll be Navisworks, and then the version of Navis that you have. And then the important thing that we do need to do here as well is adjust the settings. So what I do is I do not want to export any room geometry. That just adds to your clashes that you have. I do add convert linked files. Shared coordinates is going to be 99% of what you will be doing. Otherwise, there is project internal. Sometimes you may need that, so I always leave it as shared. Export, I'll change it to the current view. And then under our models performance, we need to make sure this close NWC, NWD files on load is checked here as well. And that's the exact same thing that we're going to be doing that we checked in our first episode here, but we'll touch base on that when we get into Navisworks itself. So that export always takes just a little bit, but now that we're done with that, we're going to pop over into our Navisworks itself. And just a quick reminder, under our Navisworks options here, I'll get back to that window. Under the model performance, this close NWD and NWC files on load needs to be checked here as well. And what that allows you to do is allows you to export your NWCs and reload them within Navisworks. So the first thing that we're going to do, we've got our Windows dock, we've got our Navisworks open. We are going to append a file here. We hit append, and we're going to drill to where we have saved our Navisworks cache file. And we're going to import or append that file into our program here. So once we append our NWC, you can see under our selection tree, it actually shows that file there. First things that you'll note is if we scroll in, I'm hovering the mouse over our file here. If you scroll in, that will allow you to zoom in and zoom out. If you press your middle mouse button, that will allow you to pan the camera around the view. If you hit and hold shift, that will pivot your camera around a specific point that you can see right there, the pivot point. One thing to note is utilizing the orbit tool, which can be found right here, or the pan tool. The pan tool is not so bad, but the orbit specifically, sometimes the pivot point is like 10.5 miles away, and so your rotation will cause you to lose sight of your model rather quickly. Quick thing that you can do is just hit your view cube here, and it'll center around all the geometry visible, but doesn't necessarily mean that something isn't way off in space here as well. So, and as you can see here, our model itself looks pretty darn close to our Revit model. We'll bounce back to our Revit model, and you can see what we have going on here. The one thing to note is with our settings and our publishing to an NWC, the way that we have it set up is it's going to export everything in this view. And since we have told it that we want it to export links, if we have any links in this view, it will export that as well. So be mindful of the 3D view that you are exporting. You only want to show the elements that you want to be in that file. And just as a brief way to show that here quick, I'm going to turn off everything except for our walls and windows. And you'll see that we really cropped down our export here. I'm going to save over this architectural file, and this will go pretty quick. And then we'll bounce back into Navisworks here, and I'm going to refresh. And as you can see, it has exported just what we have. So just something important to keep in mind as you're going through and starting to export some of your files, specifically the NWCs. So we'll continue with this series. Next time we're going to take a look at a lot of the different files that are available to bring into Navisworks, which is a whole lot of them. I know we're just covering the NWCs because that's what I've been exporting and what I will continue to export from Revit itself. Make sure to like and follow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.